unambiguously and unequivocally tell you, we have never approached the Sharif family. There were intermediaries and interlocutors who turned up with credentials purportedly demonstrating their links, very close and proximate links to the Sharif family, offering us money to go away. And we flatly refused. We said, we're in court, and if you want to settle this, we have lawyers, you settle it with our lawyers. We're not prepared to take money. We're in this to fight bribery and corruption. We're not in here to take a bribe and go away.
So what happened, Mr. Musawi, when obviously Musharraf era ended? What happened after that? Then the People's Party was there.
We decided.
Have you ever contacted anyone in the Pakistan People's Party's government, or anyone in the country, or NAB, or whatever your sources in the country, that we need this money, and this was done by the government of Pakistan and not by an individual? It was because this money you have gotten, obviously, from Pakistan, and it has nothing to do with the government itself. It was a decision led by one person, and obviously the whole country is facing it in the form of this money has been paid to you. So have you ever contacted anyone in Pakistan People's Party government?
We gave up talking to the government of Pakistan when we saw that they brazenly lie. Its National Accountability Bureau, which was supposed to be the epitome of its ethical institutions, turned out to be a sham. It turned out to be a fraud. It turned out to be a conspiracy against the people of Pakistan, when they openly would ask us to remove targets that they themselves had given us, that remove them because they didn't want them investigated. And then when we found that one of them was appointed the Home Minister, whose accounts we had frozen in Jersey, what would you do in those circumstances? Would you continue to talk to these people? Of course not. The only time I spoke to the government of Pakistan after that was when General Musharraf, President Musharraf, as he then was, came to the Oxford Union, and I nabbed him. And afterwards, his ADC came and asked me to go and talk to him in the Glaston room at the Oxford Union, and I did. And he said he couldn't do anything about it after that. He said that the NAB people were overwhelmed by the government. So I said to him, "But you're the government." He said, "Well, you know, I had to go along with the elected chamber and all the rest of it." And I said, "Look, a former head of NAB, a military man, has written his memoirs, and he openly says that NAB was gutted." He said, "I don't deny it." So what was the point of my talking to them? There was no point.
In 2016, that was the time.
The Oxford Union.
No, the question I'm going to ask you is about the 2016, when this case was obviously, when you won the case, right?
We certainly did. In 2000.
That time was the government, and the government was Nawaz Sharif.
That's correct.
And have you faced any resistance from their government to go away?
Well, resistance is they refused to honor the award. The award was in August 2016. They should have paid it. And they still haven't paid it. It is now 2021. They still haven't paid. Look, let there be no mistake.
So Nawaz Sharif, you actually, after obviously winning the case, you went to the Nawaz Sharif government and says, "Look, you have to pay us." And he says, "I don't want to pay you." And what was the answer? What was the grounds they made at that time?
We're going to appeal this. I said, "You're going to waste more money." They spent $20 million on this case. I mean, they're mad. 20 million. How many water purification plants would that buy in Pakistan? How many hospitals? How many schools would that create in Pakistan? These thieves were making money. I have no doubt people were making commissions out of granting these contracts to these prestigious law firms. No doubt at all.
So, Mr. Mustawi, when you started this, when you went to the court?
Initially, we brought the notice of arbitration in 2009.
2009, and that is a time when it is the Pakistan People's Party was in power, right, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the time you never got any help from the Pakistan People's Party, and you won the case in 2016 when there was the same government, same people you were actually investigating around the world for the money.
Yeah.
And they never helped you. And because this is really interesting. And I must say, the way the case has been presented so far into the world, that we have been given a green, like a clean sheet from the London High Court. That's what the Sharif family is saying at the moment.
It's a lie. It's a lie. If you read the judgment, you will find that the government of Pakistan were found to have conspired with persons known, unnamed, to have defrauded the company they hired to investigate and restitute stolen money. The Sharif family are lying when they say the award given by Sir Anthony Evans exonerates them. It does nothing of the sort. It simply says Broadsheet did its work. It was getting money, it was finding money, it was sending it back, and it was sacked because it was too successful. That's what the judgment says. And they've appealed it, the appeal was thrown out. No evidence at all. It was a complete pack of lies. And all they did was spend more money and more money and more money until such time that we seized their bank accounts and we forced them to disgorge, basically. I wish this money was going to be, and some of it is going to be spent on charities in Pakistan. I have several charities.
Mr. Musavi, do you believe, because this is like kind of a speculation going on in UK, that have you ever, let me put it that way, have you ever met Shahzad Akbar?
I met Shahzad Akbar twice in October, yes, of 2018.
And the purpose of this meeting?
Sorry?
And what was the main purpose? What was on the agenda?
The agenda was, well, are you going to resolve this? You're telling me the new government of Imran Khan is different. It's law-abiding. It has a human rights minister. Shahzad Akbar has a fairly reasonable record as someone who cooperated with the cause of human rights over Guantanamo Bay and those issues. So that's the only reason why I agreed to meet him. I thought, he's going to be different to the other crooks that were running the Bhutto government, Zardari government, Sharif government. So I met him at the request of a friend, and I met him. We had lunch, and I said, look, I haven't come here to negotiate. I've come here to tell you, if you want to be part of the international community, you have to abide by the rules of international community. You've agreed that the matter should be arbitrated, and it has been, and the court has spoken, and there's no further appeal. Why don't you pay? He said, give us a discount. I said, this is not the souk, man. This is not a bazaar. It's a court order. What are you talking about? Then they met our lawyers and they said, give us discount. And the lawyer said, look, the time for those things is over. This is not money that's coming from the people of Pakistan. This is money that's coming from those thieves who've stolen from the people of Pakistan. Let's make this clear. This is not the money that is coming from the people of Pakistan. This money is money that was stolen by crooked politicians. And the idea that you want me to give you a discount, effectively you want me to give a discount to the thieves so they can keep some more of the money. Well, you think about it, let me know. And I said, I'm going to let you know now. You can have my answer now. The answer is no. Then a couple of weeks later, he asked to see me again at the Chelsea Arts Club through the intervention of another human rights lawyer. And I went because of the prestige of the other human rights lawyer. I was astonished. He simply said, well, give us a discount and we'll do that. I said, don't you guys respect court orders? And don't run the argument, this is the people's money. If I knew this money was going to give clean water and medicines to children in Pakistan, I would let the whole thing go. But this is money that's coming from the pockets of thieves. And it just went over his head. So I said, well, fine. Then I sent him a text and I said, next time you people pretend that you abide by the rule of law, I am going to go on television and tell the story. In fact, I've written the story, so it'll come out as a book eventually. So I'm afraid no one, absolutely no one, including our old friend, Mr. Imran Khan, who used to be a part of the university here in Oxford. I'm afraid, should we say, I've become somewhat skeptical about their claims to probity and wanting to protect the interests of the people of Pakistan. It's been a bitter, disappointing.
Yeah, Mr. Musavi, because obviously the people will be watching this around the world, that what exactly has happened with their money, and obviously they really want to know that what exactly happened between in the power corridors, which obviously the common man in Pakistan is obviously they don't have the access to that. They don't have the access to that sort of information what they're going to get today after this interview. Uh, do you believe that the even field, if the Pakistani government, the Imran Khan government, will ask you or anyone, you are in the position to go after all the money which is obviously looted and made through the through illegal means in Pakistan. Most of the money is obviously made through corruption. You are in the position, any money around the world, and especially this Evan field, you can actually help the government of Pakistan and Imran Khan's government.
Look, this contract was 20 years ago. 20 and a half years ago, June, July 2000. It's now 2021. Just technology, internet, investigative tools have become so much sharper that it's very difficult to hide money now. You saw after the International Committee of the Investigative Journalists exposed the Panama Papers, and that was 4 years ago. Technology has moved even further. Yes, we have no doubt we have the legal tools, the jurisprudence, the laws on our side, and the technical tools to assist the government of Pakistan to get this money back. And there are billions that are being stolen. They were stolen. They continue. But of course, the government of Pakistan must have the political will in order to look. We gave them evidence of accounts in which there were $1 billion. I tell you, $1 billion. And you know what? They completely ignored it. They completely. I met a Pakistani general who came to London. I met him. It's in the press. I've discussed it. I gave an affidavit on this to the National Crime Agency in Britain. We've given all that. They completely ignored that information. 25, 6, 7 years ago, I had exactly the same experience in Mexico. To the lasting credit, at least they started investigating that. And that was a corrupt government of Carlos Salinas nearly 30 years ago. 30 years later, Pakistan is more corrupt than one of the most corrupt governments that Mexico has had in its history, which was the Salinas government back in thing. What does that say about the nature of the Pakistani regime? Well, you draw your own conclusions. Yes, the answer to your question is we could have. We found a great many accounts. We gave it to them. They did nothing. They did worse. They alerted the account holder that we found out about the accounts. That's what.
Who did that?
NAB. Officers of NAB alerted.
The present NAB or the NAB in the past?
The present NAB have got present NAB. All they're doing is lying about their judgments. I mean, the present.
So the NAB, whoever is the NAB in the past, they did it.
The NAB of 2002, the NAB of 2003, they alerted the thieves that we have found their accounts. That's what they did. And the money quickly disappeared, or in the alternative, they asked us to remove. If we'd moved earlier and frozen the account, they would ask us immediately to please remove that person from as being a target. So don't tell me, did we have the capacity to find the money? The court found that we had the capacity. The court found not only we had the capacity, the court found that we found the money. That was 17 years ago. Today, we have significantly more capacity to do that. But of course, I doubt very much if they're interested. In the summer of 2017, we alerted the government of Pakistan to an account in which there was $1 billion. In October 2017.
You have alerted the government of Pakistan.
Yes.
And that we're talking about Nawaz Sharif government.
Correct.
You alerted about something.
$1 billion. In October 2018, I met a senior Pakistani official at the Café Rouge in Hampstead, and I gave him the evidence of an account in which there was $1 billion. We didn't hear back from them. They weren't interested. The next thing I heard from the bank officer I was dealing with is they've cut a deal, they've taken the money, and so the money, some of it was stolen by officials, some of it went back to the owner of the account.
So we're talking about one account. There were billions of dollars in that account, and that belonged to one person, right?
One group of people.
One group of
It
people.
was a, it was
That
a,
was
it was a company account, yeah.
that was a company account. We are talking about that is somewhere around 2003 was originated that account, or it was we are talking about the government who was in 2009, or we're talking about the government who came after 2013.
The money was transferred in the summer of 2016 from Saudi Arabia to an account that I gave the full details of to the government of Pakistan. They didn't lift a finger. They were talking at that time to me about would I back off from this judgment, from enforcing the judgment, if they give us a new contract. And I said, if you give me a new contract and guarantee that you will honor the contract, I will consider it, especially because I found evidence of another account which has $1 billion of stolen money in it. What do? They met with me. What do they say? What's our cut? In other words, the gentleman sat across the table to me, Mr. Musavi, there are a lot of people inside NAB and in Pakistan who are saying, why should you make 20%? I said, because I'm taking all the risk and I'm not asking the people of Pakistan to pay me 20%. I'm saying, give me 20% of the stolen money that I find, because you're going to get 80% of the stolen money, which you're not going to get 0% if I don't pursue it. That sounds very fair. But what about our cut? I said, you're offering a bribe to somebody who you're hiring to go after stolen money. Is that what you're doing? I put it to the people of Pakistan. This is the nature of the government they had in 2017, 2018.